Welcome to Health Talk with Dr. Akram. I'm Akram. In this program, we'll be talking about all kinds of health issues with different experts in the field. But today, we're going to talk about diabetes. So sit back, relax, and enjoy your time with us. Diabetes was one of the first diseases described within Egyptian manuscripts from 1500 before Christ, mentioning two great emptying of the urine. The first described cases are believed to have been type 1 diabetes. Indian physicians around the same time identified the disease and classified it as madhumeha or honey urine, noting the urine would attract ants. The term diabetes or to pass through was first used in 230 before Christ by the Greek Apollonius of Memphis. The disease was considered rare during the time of the Roman Empire. Galen, the Roman Empire's great physician, commenting he had only seen 2 cases during his career. This is possibly due to the diet and lifestyle of the ancient, or because the clinical symptoms were observed during the advanced stage of the disease. Galen named the disease diarrhea urinosa, or diarrhea of the urine. 2 types of diabetes were identified as separate conditions for the first time by the Indian physicians Sushruta and Charaka in circa 400-500, with one type being associated with youth and the other type being overweight. But effective treatment was not developed until the early part of the 20th century, when Canadian Frederick Banting and Charles Herbert best isolated purified insulin in 1921-1922. This was followed by the development of the long-acting insulin in 1940s. Diabetes mellitus, commonly known as diabetes, is a group of metabolic disorders characterized by high blood sugar level over a prolonged period of time. Symptoms often include frequent urination, increased thirst, increased appetite. If left untreated, diabetes can cause many complications. The prevalence of diabetes type 2 is rising rapidly worldwide. The World Health Organization reported a global prevalence exceeding 300 million people, predicting a further 60 to 70% increase by the year of 2030. One of the largest absolute increase is expected to occur in South Asia. In India, International Diabetes Federation estimating that India alone will have 100 million people with diabetes by 2030. About 90% of these will be type 2. Increased food consumption and decreased physical activity represent major contributors to the growing Indian type 2 epidemic. But type 2 diabetes risk also has substantial genetic component. Let's look more in detail about diabetes with our special guest on the show, Dr. Prasanna Anthony, who is a general practitioner in Blackpool. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here in our studio due to government lockdown rules around Lancashire, but he is happily joining us via Skype. Hello, Prasanna.
Hi, good evening, Akram. Thank you very much for me having on your program.
Prasanna, it's nice to see you on the television rather than I would prefer you to be here sitting along me, but unfortunately you couldn't come here, isn't it?
I know, Akram, you did your best, we did our best, but unfortunately we need to adhere to the government guidelines. Unfortunately, as you said, the Lancashire gone into tier 3 lockdown, and there are many other areas possibly coming in. And actually, it's a difficult time for all of us. But the most important thing is now at least we can have this very, very important chat at least via Skype.
Exactly. I can't stop my program. Even COVID comes to my door and where we ring the bell. We're going to run the program, all right? Prasanna,
Sure,
well,
sure,
okay, good. tell me something about you. Who are you? What you do? Things like that.
Okay. So I'm a GP partner at the moment, living and working in Blackpool. And I've been an NHS doctor for the last 20 years. And out of that 11 years, I am now working as a GP. And I have many interests, but one of the main interests as a GP for me is diabetes. And I live with my family. I have 3 children and a wife who is also a doctor working in Blackpool. And today I'm very happy to come and join your very informative programs, which I have watched before. And I'm glad to be with you, Akram.
Excellent. I mean, I think still, even if you're at home, I like your studio. It looks quite good, Prasanna. That's good. Let's go to the subject, yeah? Okay, let's be serious now. Okay, let's talk about what is this diabetes about?
Yes. I think, Akram, in your intro, you gave a very good introduction of what diabetes is and a bit of history, which actually I wasn't aware of. When it tells the diabetes, you quite rightly said it is a metabolic disorder. With a metabolic disorder that causes the blood sugar to rise in our bloodstream. So basically, simply put, increased blood sugar in the bloodstream. Now, the sugar is very important energy for our cells and muscular tissues. So that sugar should be utilized by the cells. So what happens when we ingest, for example, when we eat, the food gets digested and then the sugar is released into the bloodstream. And when that happens, normally what happens in non-diabetic people, the insulin is secreted from an organ called pancreas. And that insulin is like key to the locks of the cells. So insulin opens the locks and the sugar goes into the cells where that is used as energy. In diabetes, unfortunately, there's defect of that mechanism. So there's increased sugar remaining in the bloodstream, which can cause, as you said, long-term problems. So basically, diabetes happening due to either defective insulin or lack of secretion of insulin.
Lack of secretion, isn't it? So, I like, as I presented, which actually I like the word from the Indian physician of 1500 before Christ. He said, Madhumeha, the honey urine. That's quite nice word, isn't it? To come out in 1500 before Christ with such a name. Isn't it? Okay.
Yes, that's right. So,
okay, let's say a little bit about this. What kind of diabetes around? Is it one type? Are there different types?
No, there are quite few types, but there's 2 major types that people are well aware of, called type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes. And also before that, we call them insulin dependent and non-insulin dependent, but now we classify them as type 1 and type 2. But if you take look at the broader picture, so the diabetes can be classified into primary and secondary. So type 1 and type 2 we call primary diabetes.
So that happens itself, isn't it? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Basically, that's because of the defective.
Yeah, it's because of the defective mechanism in your body.
So diabetes people do get, for example, we call them secondary diabetes due to various, endocrine disorders and pancreatic issues like chronic pancreatitis, pancreatic cancer, and due to drugs, long-term use of steroids. So these are called secondary diabetes.
Secondary diabetes.
I think today the most important thing today is to concentrate on the type 2 diabetes, because as you said, that is the most prevalent diabetes in the world, and even some scientists consider this as a world epidemic at the moment.
That's right. I was thinking about it. I mean, while we're talking, we're going to prepare a video. So we're going to show them more about diabetes. It's in cellular level how it happens. And thanks for the www.animateddiabetespatient.com for providing this video. It's an amazing video. It's done by them, and it explains how in cellular levels this insulin works and the blood sugar works. And if anybody would like to see the video, you could always go to YouTube and look for that animated diabetes patient.com, and let's look at this video. Let's see what it says about.
Type 2 diabetes is a metabolic disorder that causes sugar, in the form of glucose, to accumulate in the blood rather than being used as fuel by the cells in our body. When we eat, food is broken down by our digestive system into nutrient molecules that are then absorbed through our digestive tract for use by the body. Foods containing carbohydrates or various sugars are broken down into glucose. Glucose is an important source of fuel for many organs in our body. However, to be able to use the glucose for fuel, the glucose molecule must first enter into the cell. The pancreas produces a hormone called insulin, a chemical messenger essential for the entry of glucose into cells. As the blood glucose levels rise after a meal, insulin is released into the bloodstream and sets processes in motion to trigger the removal of glucose from the blood to enter into the cells. In type 2 diabetes, the cells become resistant to insulin and ignore its message to absorb glucose. This is known as insulin resistance. In addition, in type 2 diabetes, the pancreas is unable to produce the greater amounts of insulin needed to trigger these resistant cells to take in glucose from the bloodstream. The most notable symptom of diabetes is frequent urination and excessive thirst. Other symptoms include weakness, drowsiness, and blurred vision. These are caused by chemical imbalances in the blood related to high levels of blood glucose. About 1 in 4 people with type 2 diabetes are unaware that they have the disease. It is important to catch diabetes early. Over time, high blood glucose damages the blood vessels, which can damage the organs that these vessels supply, leading to a variety of health complications. Damage to the small or micro blood vessels can cause vision problems, including loss of sight, nerve damage, and kidney disease. Damage to larger or macro blood vessels can lead to cardiovascular complications such as heart disease, stroke, and poor blood circulation. Overweight and inactivity are major causes of diabetes. A family history of diabetes significantly increases your risk of developing the disease. Certain ethnic populations are also at increased risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Finally, some medications may increase your diabetes risk, specifically corticosteroids, thiazide diuretics, drugs used to treat certain mental illnesses, and some antiretrovirals used to treat HIV infection. In summary, type 2 diabetes is a metabolic disorder. It causes sugar, in the form of glucose, to accumulate in the blood rather than being used as fuel for the cells in our body. If not diagnosed and treated in a timely manner, type 2 diabetes can lead to many health complications.
Video beautifully illustrated the diabetic in small, simple terms. It's an amazing video. I think it's basically what happens here in type 2 diabetes. Sometimes the insulin is available, but insulin cannot work, isn't it? It's just the receptors on the cell, the cellular level does not let the insulin work through it. That's what's happening here, isn't it, Prasanna?
To diabetes, it's a mixture of mainly it's called the insulin resistance. So as I said, if you consider insulin as a key, that key, even though the key is there, it's unable to unlock the cellular receptors for the sugar to go into the cells, resulting increased blood sugar in the bloodstream. And it's the reason, there are many reasons why you have high resistance to insulin. But also with time in type 2 diabetes people, there is a lack of insulin secretion as well. So it's a mixture of both that is contributing to type 2 diabetes.
You know, President, I just remember, you know, when I was as a trainee anesthetist, I was going to these classes to study to become a consultant. And one of the classes, one of the senior lecturers from London, he explained that, especially for Indian origin people, you know, our genes in the long run, you know, it was we were living in the forest, isn't it? And that time we used to starve a lot. And our genes got evolved with it. You know, the genes, it's always food was a question. Will we get food for next time? But whenever we ate something, the genes, what we do, it will send the messages to the cells and whatever body part to store it, because you might not get food next time. And suddenly, now food is plenty available here. And what's happening, the gene still doesn't know that it hasn't reset again to the new fashion. It takes generations for it to happen. That's why that we are overweight and the diabetes is quite random. And it was quite interesting. You know, I did a charity walk it was in Sri Lanka about 5-6 years ago. We walked from the north of Sri Lanka to south of Sri Lanka for a cancer charity. During this walk, I had an opportunity to work with a wonderful man called Madhura. He's from a Sri Lankan Aboriginal tribe. And I walked with him the whole length of it. It was 20 odd kilometers we walked together. And this whole time, what I noticed, this person did not drink any water. There was plenty of food available. You know, they gave us free on the street for this group as first were walking. And he never accepted milk or any food. After some times, I just asked him, why don't you eat something? You need energy to walk. He said, we don't eat like that. So when you eat, have you had your breakfast? He said, what? Breakfast is not available in America. So do you eat lunch? No. Do you eat dinner? No. So when do you eat? And it was amazing what he said. He said, we eat whenever we get food.
Wow. That's an excellent, excellent story, Akram. Excellent example of, you know, one of the popular hypotheses why South Asians are at higher risk of developing diabetes compared to other ethnicities. For example, in UK, it is estimated in some research in some article that the South Asians are nearly 6 times high risk of getting diabetes compared to a Caucasian person.
6 times.
Not only the South Asian, 6 times. And it varies from different research articles from definitely 4 to 6 times. And as you know, cardiovascular risk is high in South Asians. That is 3 times than a Caucasian. And we have to remember, Akram, it's not only the South Asians. So the ethnicities that are at high risk are so Afro-Caribbean, South Asians, and also Chinese.
And Chinese, these Pacific Islanders as well, isn't it? All these small islands. I think wherever, if you think in the long run, wherever they were starving in the long run, that's the place diabetes is more prevalent, isn't it? Is that right?
Sure. That's one of the hypotheses, but you know, unless it's sometimes very difficult to prove this type of things, but you can find out few reasons why South Asians are at such a higher risk than the Caucasians. For example, one is that the South Asians, we have higher risk of depositing our fats in the truncal area.
That's true.
So we call it truncal obesity, which is high incidence even if we are living in their native countries. So truncal obesity is a high incidence among the South Asians. And then another thing, as you said, Akram, about this starving for a long time, and then suddenly we come into a place.
Prasanna, I'm just going to hold you there. Don't forget, and there is a caller online. Let's join the call as well, and we go ahead with your. Hello, welcome to Health Talk with Dr. Akram. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, sir. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Mukhtar Ali.
Mukhtar Ali, thank you very much for calling. Where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm calling from London.
London, Mukhtar Ali, I'm going to hold you there. Be in the line. Let my guest finish what he's talking. then we'll ask you a question. Is that all right?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Prasanna, go ahead, please. Prasanna,
Okay,
you can...
so I was saying is, so as you said, there are also studies shown that they have identified 6 different genes in our genetic structure, the South Asian genetic structure, that have high risk of developing diabetes. And then also the other one is, apparently the South Asian people have, the metabolism, some metabolism of the muscles are unable to metabolize fat. Fat burning is different to some of the other ethnicities, and that's also has identified as a risk. So there's multifactorial why we are at a higher risk.
Why we are at higher risk. Okay, let's go back to Mukhtar Ali. Mukhtar Ali, you can go ahead with your question, please.
Okay, hi. Yeah, I have a type 2 diabetes.
Yes, we can hear you. Keep talking.
Yeah. And I used to be a heavy smoker.
Okay.
But 3 weeks ago, I stopped the smoke.
Right.
And the problem was that I was a size 40, but now it's size 33. So I'm still losing my weight. And I went to the hospital, and they said they found something in my lung, which is swollen, and they put in the lab, and there is mild exercise. So the result is come on Tuesday. They said no, it's not that. So they want to do another examination with the camera in me, and they want to have a look again. But it's worrying me because I'm looking in Saudi, and they were on the meet 4 months after. It's worrying me why I was losing all the weight.
So you are losing weight?
Yeah.
Okay. So you were losing weight and you had examination and they found something in the lung. So is that right?
Yeah, that's what they said.
Okay.
They're thinking at a cancer. But now the result is come, it is not.
So they thought it was a cancer, but now it says it's not cancer.
Not
and
cancer,
what?
They say they're going to do another examination again.
Right.
Put me to this and put the camera inside and have a look again.
So they want to look at your stomach and your digestive system if there's something going on there, isn't it?
Yeah.
So okay, I think Prasanna, the question here is Mr. Mukhtar Ali. He's been losing weight recently, and he's been to the hospital and they checked his lung and they thought it was a cancer, but it was cleared. But now they are trying to do some endoscopy. Probably they want to put a camera and see what's going on in the stomach.
Yes. So thank you, Mr. Mukhtar Ali, for the questions, and thanks for repeating that question, Akram, because of the technology issues, I couldn't hear him very clearly.
I know, yeah.
So when you start losing weight, Mr. Ali, it's very important you did the right thing to see your GP, and your GP will be doing the basic blood works and the X-rays. And one of the main blood tests we do is to look for diabetes, because diabetes, one of the symptoms is losing weight. Plus, we'll look at the other hormonal like thyroid hormone and various other blood tests like hemoglobin, iron levels. And if we can find a reason or if we have any concerns there, then we go for the next set of investigations that we normally do with the secondary care, with the hospital consultants, where you are at the moment. Now, you said that they thought there's suspicious lesion in the lung, but then it's proved to be nothing, which is very good. And then the next step is to, as Dr. Akram said, to look into your gullet. You do a camera test, and then also we do a camera test from the back passage. And very likely, if they cannot find a reason, they'll do a full body scan called a CT scan. So usually, as a GP, I know it's very concerning when you start losing weight. But I have come across many people that after all the investigations, still sometimes we cannot find a reason. So at the moment, I think, Mr. Ali, you are in the middle of the investigations, and I hope you and wish you all the best, and hopefully we don't find anything. And if we know that there's nothing underlying, then there are next step of actions we can take for your weight loss with your GP. So when everything is cleared by the hospital, you'll be handed back over to your general practitioner, where you can then address how to tackle this weight losing issue.
Prasanna, it was an amazing answer. Thank you very much. Mukhtar Ali, you still there with us? Okay. Anyway, he is gone, but he must be listening to our television channel. So thank you very much. And Mukhtar Ali, please let us know what's happening with you in the future. And you could always message us on our YouTube channel. This video will be uploaded probably by today or tomorrow on Health Talk with Dr. Akram YouTube channel, and you could leave a small message and I'll try to contact you and find out what's happening with you. We're concerned about you, but anyway, it's great you called us, but the time is passing, Prasanna, so we're going to go for a quick short break. But anyway, if anyone joining now, this is today we're talking about diabetes, which is a very important condition, especially for South Asians. This diabetes is quite prevalent. As our speaker, our special guest president said, it's as if you're South Asian, you have 6 times higher chance of having diabetes compared to your white colleague. So we have to be careful, and we have to listen to this talk and get as much as possible, so we could hopefully prevent it. And this condition is preventable, and it's treatable in diabetes. But if anyone join, this is a live program, so call us on 0203 515 5788 if you have any questions or suggestions, or write to us healthtalk@intv.co.uk. And you can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook, Iron Health Talk with Dr. Akram, and our dedicated YouTube channel, Health Talk with Dr. Akram. And of course, you can watch us on Facebook Live if you're not doing it. And you know, Iron TV, Sky Channel 782. Anyway, Prasanna, thank you very much for being with us. And let's go back and let's talk a little bit more. But anyway, we talked in the video, we basically showed about the clinical complications, I think a little bit about it. Let's talk a little bit about the clinical features of diabetes.
It is actually affecting, it's a multi-systemic disorder because it can affect lots of the systems in our body. There are, sometimes we can classify it's like macrovascular complications, microvascular, but when it's simplified, basically there are 3 main areas that the diabetes can affect, and it affects adversely. So one is, lots of people know it can affect our eyes, and it can affect our kidneys, and it also affect our sensation in the body, like we call it a neuropathy. And it also have lots of other effects like
so eyes, kidneys, and the nerves. 3 major things.
Nerves, eyes, 3 major things.
Yeah.
But also, Akram, having diabetes increase the risk of strokes, heart attacks, and was something called peripheral arterial disorders, where the blood supply circulation is affected.
So stroke, heart attack, and peripheral vascular disease. We have done a program on peripheral vascular disease. So if if my viewers are following me, they should have known about it. But in case you missed it, it's on the YouTube channel Health Talk with Dr. Akram. You can always go back and watch. Yeah, let's go back to the subject, Prasanna. Yeah.
Okay. So the most important thing, as you said, is prevention. So first is to prevent getting diabetes, especially type 2. And the next is, if we have the diabetes, then it's very important to control it very well, preventing getting complications where it will affect your kidneys, eyes, and the nervous system. So therefore, when it comes to the complications, if I tell very briefly, Akram, when it affects the eyes, because of the increased sugar levels, it affects the back of our eye, an area called retina.
Retina,
yeah. Where there'll be retinal changes, and ultimately it can lead to blindness. And also, diabetes will cause these patients to have cataract. When it's come to the kidneys, so we will initially start with losing proteins, which ultimately can lead to renal failure.
Renal failure.
And when it comes to the nervous system, it's very important to prevent that, because when you lose sensation, basically what happens, you initially get numbness, little bit numbness, and then you lose sensation mainly starting from your feet. So what happens, if you lose sensation, then you will not feel the pain. If you don't feel the pain, For example, if your foot come into contact with a very hot surface, you don't feel the hotness. So your foot will be there, that reflex to get it away, this patient will lose it, and then it will damage. Not only that, there's lots of minor damage.
Now, when you tell about the sensation, there's something really important which I remembered. Now, it's one of my distant aunties. She was cooking. I think they had some fire. And she had long-time diabetes for a long time, and she did not realize her backside of the cloth were burning from this wood fire she has set up until somebody outside has realized that there's a fire. And that's the time that she realized, and they tried to save her. I think unfortunately she is not with us today.
No, I'm sorry to hear that. That's a scary example where when you lose sensations are absolutely important for our reflexes to keep our body protective from the outside hazards. Now, because of this losing sensation caused the feet to have small ulcers, lots of repeated trauma, ultimately leading to amputation. And the statistics will show that the most commonest cause of amputation, non-traumatic amputation, is diabetes.
That's true. That's true.
So as you said, it's absolutely important to prevent our patients getting these complications. And how to prevent is to control the diabetes well.
So to control the sugar, there is a caller with us. Okay, hello. Hello, sir. You are with Health Talk with Dr. Akram.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Good evening. Thank you very much for calling. What's your name, sir?
Hi, my name is Mr. Khan.
Mr. Khan, thank you very much. Where are you calling from?
London.
You're calling from London. Excellent.
Well, thank you, Dr. Akram. Thank you to INTV for such a lovely program to giving us for the community. Well, as long as I'd like to ask a couple of questions about your topic, which is about diabetes. It's a really very important thing. Comes to our mostly Asian communities.
Yeah,
well, my background, my family is from Bangladesh, and my mom and dad recently they checked through the doctors. They said they got the diabetes. So my concern is, I'm 32 years old, and I went to check up for my diabetes, and the symptoms I've seen your past segment, the videos. But lots of symptoms come from my lifestyle, so I got a little bit scared about it. As long as my mom, my dad got diabetes, so I'm thinking it's going to come to me as well or not. So I went to the GP and they checked the diabetes and stuff. It comes normal. About the symptoms, which is I saw your passing videos, the weakness, dryness, blurry vision, but few of them, which is the frequent urination, I don't have that stuff. I'm not actually the trustee of that stuff. I drink the water quite a lot. I used to drinking the soft drink like Coke and other stuff, but I stopped it a long time ago. I just drink water. But still the other few stuff is weakness and other stuff. I've got tired all the time. So I'm a little bit worried about it. Do you think it's part of is it going to come to my life in future? Because as long as my mom and dad got the diabetes, as long as the type 2, like out of 4, the one got the diabetes. And I'm going to add one more thing, which is the frequent urination, which is they said on your videos on the past segment. My father had that problem, and he had a problem with the kidneys as well. So do you think it's going to become to my lifestyle in my futures or in my relatives of that sort of diabetes?
Mr. Khan, that was a really interesting question. It's exactly on the subject. And it's Prasanna, what he is telling is Mr. Khan's family, his father and mum, Khan, both of them have diabetes. And
I heard the question.
Yeah, he's worried whether he will get it. And he's got not all the symptoms. What he had he's seen the video, and he said he's got blurred vision and something else. And he's 32 years old, so he's kind of right time to be alert. What do you say?
Okay, so Thank you, Mr. Khan, for the question. It's a very, very important question. I think this is where the education comes in, especially, and Mr. Khan is rightly concerned, and he's worried because his mom and dad both has diagnosed with diabetes, and he's only 32 years, and now he has a worry that whether he will get it or not. So the statistics shows if your mom and dad both get diabetes, the chance of offspring, the children getting, is 3.9 times higher risk than the normal population. So we'll say for EC it's 4 times higher risk. But the good thing, Mr. Khan, is you don't have to worry, because this is what the health organization across the world is trying to put across, the education-wise, to catch a person who are at risk of diabetes and then prevent them going to type 2 diabetes, which we can do it. For example, now you said you went to your doctor and did a blood test and he said you're all clear. That's good news. Now, when they say all clear, you need to, probably they must have told you, I don't know whether they told you or not. All clear doesn't mean, because all clear means at the moment you don't have diabetes, but then at the same time the doctor will be able to tell you whether you have a risk of getting diabetes in the future. We call that pre-diabetes.
Pre-diabetes.
That is the pre-diabetes level. So there are clear guidelines and protocols how to diagnose this particular cohort. So pre-diabetes. So there are actually three patient populations: non-diabetics, pre-diabetes, and diabetes. So I don't know whether you are a non-diabetic or pre-diabetic. If you are a non-diabetic, Mr. Khan, what you need to do is, it's very good that you are aware and you are concerned, because that is alone enough for you to change your lifestyle, which you have already done. So the lifestyle are also following good health habits. And if you go to nhs.uk, they will inform you what are the good lifestyle. To watch your diet and to maintain a low caloric diet if possible. Regular exercise, very important. I think if we have time, we can discuss about exercise. And also losing weight if you have weight issues. For example, if you can maintain a BMI of anywhere below 25, that's good. But the risk in South Asians is such, the NICE has advised, if you are a South Asian, you normally, it's not only 25, they advise us to go down to as low as 23 or 22.
So BMI is body mass index. Let's explain a little bit. So, okay, me and you are in the camera, and who of us are BMI 23 or 25?
Okay, so by looking at Akram, if you want me to guess,
65.
Akram is in a healthy weight, and I can see he's got good musculature and doing. I'm sure Akram, you're doing exercises.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the BMI, there's a bit of a issue with the BMI. Is it doesn't take into the muscle mass. So there's a different one which are complicated. But if you take just BMI, looking at Akram, you will probably be 25 and below. So anything below 25 is classified as healthy weight, and 25 to 30 is classified as overweight, and above 30 is obese. So any person in this country below 25 is, we say, is a healthy weight. But for South Asians, especially for Mr. Khan, if Mr. Khan can maintain around 23, 22, that is the best. Even it's according to evidence as well, because we have higher risk of getting diabetes, especially if your both parents have the diabetes.
Okay, that's a good point you came out with, Prasanna. And where can they? I don't know if they could always remember what we said about BMI. Where can they look at this BMI? Are there any website or any NHS website?
Always the best website is if you access NHS UK website, and then you go and type BMI calculator. There's a calculator coming, so that take into account your height and the weight, and they calculate it. For that, unfortunately for this, your waist circumference and the musculature is not calculated, but it's so far as far the current medicine is confirmed, that is good enough calculator. So you can go there.
Start with, yeah.
And then assess it, yes.
That's amazing,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Mr. Khan.
And also,
yeah. Go ahead, please, yeah.
Go on, yes. If Mr. Khan is, his second question is, he said that his dad is having, increased frequency of urination, I think, urinary issues. So urinary issues, Mr. Khan, could be due to many reasons. One is diabetes, and if his diabetes is not well controlled, then that is the most likely cause. But if the diabetes is well controlled and he's still having urinary issues, then we have to think about the prostate problems. So both of these issues can easily be addressed if he contact his own doctor and then doctor can look whether it's due to diabetes or whether it could be a different, like prostate issue or urinary infection.
Actually, we're talking about prostate. Last week we did a program on prostate, and if anybody missed that, you could always go back to Health Talk with Dr. Akram YouTube channel and you can watch that as well. So Prasanna and Mr. Khan, are you happy with the answers?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. And I'm going to add one more question about it, which is 3 weeks ago, I went to the doctor about the eyes, the blurring vision. They said eyes is okay, but I thought I cannot see properly. The only reason is for that concern. Then recently they said no, that eye power is coming back because I wear the -1.5. So they said I have to wear -1.25. So if eye vision comes very good to me. And
okay.
So you get it. Yeah. Go ahead, please. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think it will be good sign for me? And also, doctor said about it. I have a good chance about it. I mean, as long as my father, my mother got it, and I'm from the Asian, so we are in the high risk, by the way. So, but still, I try to maintain the other stuff, which is try to drink water, walk every day around at least. I walk around half an hour. So that's my minimum walking every day. I try to maintain all this stuff. I've checked through the NHS and the website to maintain my lifestyle. But there's one concern, which is you just said that. I mean, the doctor said that, which is about losing the weight. That's the thing. I'm losing my weight a lot, but sometimes I gain it. What the weight is mine, I just go up and down. I just stuck in the one status. It's not going up and down. If I lose like 2 kg, I'm gain up after 1 month or 2 months later, 3 or 5 kg, go down again. So I'm in the middle.
Okay.
Okay, so he's worried about his eyesight and weight is he gains weight and he loses weight, isn't it? Is that right?
Okay, so if Mr. Khan can hear us, so with regard to the eyesight, now if you don't have diabetes and at the age of 32 years, unless you had it from a very young age, I can safely say that diabetes is not a cause for these eye issues. Very common at a young age is the lens issues. Also if you are worried, Mr. Khan, now I'm sure you have been to an optician. The opticians they are trained healthcare professionals as well. They can look into the back of your eyes, and immediately if they find anything suggestive of any other eye issues apart from the lens issues, they will write to the GP, and also sometimes they can directly refer you to the ophthalmologist. The fact that that hasn't happened tells me that this is a lens problem where you can get long-sightedness, short-sightedness. So hopefully that can be corrected with wearing glasses and lens. With regard to the up and down weight, we normally, a rule of thumb is the weight is almost always related to what you intake, the calorie intake, and what you are losing, the diet and the exercises. There are very few conditions where the endocrinology condition can cause weight gain and weight losing, but mostly by listening to you, I think it's to do with your diet and exercise. And if you can keep a close eye on what you eat and maintain a stable caloric diet, I'm sure you will continue to have a stable weight.
Thank you very much, Mr. Khan and Prasanna. And we are running short of time. Mr. Khan, if you like, please leave a message on our Facebook or our Twitter link or our YouTube link. We'll come back to you and we'll explain more about it. And we need to go through a few more things before we wrap off this program. Prasanna, let's talk quickly a little bit about diet and lifestyle and exercise. We have 5 minutes.
Okay, so very important
this.
exercise. I'll be very quick. It's very important for exercise, not only for diabetes, but for heart diseases and various other things, including our mental health. So the government of Department of Health advises everybody should do exercise. And if you are doing moderate exercises, it should be 150 minutes per week. And if it's vigorous exercises, it should be 75 minutes per week. And also they advise that about 2 days a week, you should do muscle strengthening exercise, which is very important. And when it comes to muscle strengthening, I also want to quickly mention that there's very good evidence to suggest people who do strengthening exercise, not only they prevent muscle loss and prevent sarcopenia, which is muscle loss with age, but also they prevent going into diabetes. So you need to follow this advice. And I don't think we have much time to discuss what moderate and vigorous means. And when it comes to the diet, it's always advisable to take small portions. Now, when it comes to the small portions, if you have 3 or 4 small portions than to 1 large portion, it has shown that eating regular small portions are way better for the pancreas and for the insulin regulation than taking large meals. And when it comes to the diet, it's always good to have complex carbohydrates as opposed to simple carbohydrates or refined sugars, we can call it, which are, of course, sugar and then sugary drinks, fruit juices. The complex carbohydrates are rice, pasta, and also very important, we get carbohydrates from fruits and vegetables, and also we get a lot of dietary fiber from them, and that's part of the diet. And then losing weight, of course, we have to maintain, as we mentioned before, at least the BMI below 25, and if not, you should start thinking of losing weight, regular exercise, and a good diet.
Excellent. Prasanna, let's go through treatment quickly, and we got probably about 2 minutes left, so just name them. We don't have much time to explain. Tablets and insulin. Yeah.
Insulin. So tablets wise, every type 2 diabetes person, the first tablet we use is a tablet called metformin, and then after that there was something called sulfonylurea, which has been for ages, since a very long time. But now there are lots of new anti-oral hypoglycemic new diabetic tablets have come, which are very helpful, including to lose weight. And some of them are DPP-4 inhibitors we call gliptins, and then SLGT2 inhibitors we call glyphosomes. And so those are the main tablets, metformin. So the doctor, your diabetes nurse or the GP will initially start the medication with yourself, and they will treat according to the individual needs, because they have to look at your kidney functions, whether you are an obese person, your activity levels. And then people who are on maximum tablets but still poor diabetes control, then we need to start them on insulin. By insulin, we have different insulin. Usually, for the type 2 diabetes, we start with long-acting insulin called Lantus or Glargine and Levemir.
Oh, excellent. Prasanna, that's amazing. I think we are coming to the close of the program, which we wanted to talk about Ramadan and fasting, and we want to talk about sick day rules. Can you quickly say something about sick day rules? We'll keep the Ramadan fasting. I will explain what we're going to do with the YouTube. Can you quickly say about sick day rules?
So sick day rules is very important. Any person, type 1 or type 2 diabetic patient, if they are becoming ill, unwell, one of the main thing happens is they lose the appetite and they are unable to eat a normal diet. And then suddenly the patient will think, oh, because I'm not eating, I should reduce the tablets. So number 1 rule is you do not reduce the tablets unless you talk to your GP, because when you are ill, the illness or the infection causes a reaction for the blood glucose to raise because it's the flight or fight risk. There are other hormones coming into place when you are unwell. So the sugar actually go increase in the bloods. So people with insulin, even sometimes we slightly increase the insulin. So if you use sick day rules, stay hydrated, do not panic, do not change any of your medication. There are some medication that you need to change, but do it with your GP. Call the practice nurse, the diabetes nurse or the GP. They will tell you what to stop or not to stop. And then the next thing is try to eat or hydrate as much as possible the illness is permitting.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prasanna. And unfortunately, diabetes is a long subject. We could not finish in an hour.
Yes.
But anyway, we are planning to do all of these subjects separately in separate YouTube clips. So please, if you haven't subscribed so far, subscribe to Health Talk with Dr. Akram. And within a short time, we're going to treat all of these subjects separately and we're going to put special clips specially for you. For Prasanna, thank you very much for being with us for this short time. And but
my pleasure.
Your advice is really important for us. Do you want to say anything to this public before we going to wrap up the show?
Yes, absolutely. It is a wonderful program, especially considering our topic diabetes, which needs lots of education. The programs like yours will help a lot to get the message across to the audiences, and especially if your audience is, majority of them are South Asian, this will be a very important program to continue to do. And thank you very much. It was my pleasure and I really enjoyed it. For contributing such an educational program, Akram.
Prasanna, thank you very much for joining from Lancashire. But anyway, we might see you in some other program in the future. But for you guys, anyway, thank you for staying with us on Health Talk with Dr. Akram. If you have any further questions, please email us healthtalk@intv.co.uk or message us on our dedicated YouTube channel, Health Talk with Dr. Akram, or Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, don't forget, and we will respond as soon as we can. But for now, goodbye and keep yourself safe. Thank you very much.